Hello, this is Mindstormer. Have you ever wanted to go back and see if the things you saw as shining gold still held their glorious hue? Or are you too afraid that upon revisiting them, the rose-tinted glasses you wear won't be enough to counter your now weathered eyes? Well, fret not, as I will probably not be playing one of your childhood games today, as PokePark 2 didn't sell all too well, so unless you're one of the 760,000 who owned a copy, this will be a new experience. Not for me, however, as this was my first Pokemon game, and I played some 400 hours of it. How did that happen? And what is PokePark 2? Well, allow me to kill two birds with one stone.
In PokePark 2, wonders beyond. There are many adventures to go on. Leading the way is Pikachu, and with his powers there's nothing he can't do. Explore through Wish Park and win a race. Battle mighty Pokemon or fly through space. Uncover mysteries and make more friends. With Pikachu and pals, the fun never ends.
Yes, that was a real commercial, and there are 6 more at that. Now you may be wondering, what about the first PokePark? I've never played it, and literally only 4 minor things from that game's story matter. Beyond that, it's completely separate from the original. Would it have made more sense to start with that one first? Yes, but I want to play this one, so that's what I'm doing. Anyway, want to hear Pikachu? I would like to make it known that all the other Pokemon said their names too. Pikachu just decided to scream over everybody. The music already sounds dire, nothing's happened. Oh. Or just... this is a very interesting place. You can really tell they put a lot of work into the theming, like fire. A supreme disaster is about to swallow the 2 worlds. The very thing we feared is about to come true. Okay. I didn't know they talked to each other, but there is hope. Have you noticed? Do you see a light approaching? Not from the disaster, but over there. Okay, we got one problem, but have you looked over there recently? It's scaring me. There's lights all around me. My home is on fire. Anyway, Pikachu. Piplup. We enter the glorious Cove area, and after Piplup makes the most on-brand statement he could make, we notice Krokorok running a cult pyramid scheme. I've heard worse. He speaks of a mysterious location called Wish Park. So of course, we follow him, but not before being stopped by none other than the valiant Oshawott, who tries to rob Pikachu, while at the same time calling him a nobody. We shrug him off, as Piplup gives mental support, and continue on our misguided journey to Wish Park. Gatorade? Blue Gatorade? Upon exiting the portal, Piplup makes the bold accusation that this place is mysterious. We then proceed to follow an infant, who catches us up to the rest of the cult group. Our infant tour guide Gothita goes on to explain that we can stay in Wish Park forever, which implies there are no taxes in Wish Park. Not that I know if there are any taxes in PokePark either. However, I'm noticing a distinct lack of available real estate. We may have to be put on a wait list. Fortunately, mice don't require a lot of space, so the wait would be pretty short most likely. As for food options, I've heard that they have really good cakes here. Just not much else. I'm unsure what Pikachu's diet looks like normally, but that can't be sustainable long term. Though being electric type does lead me to believe he could probably burn off the extra calories of a solely cake diet pretty easily, as long as he's okay with the lack of variety. Hypothetically speaking, of course. After considering a tempting offer, we stumbled into an active intervention for a cripplingly cake-addicted monkey, who ironically can see no evil. And as it turns out, neither can I. Hello, mummy man. I have come for cake. Before we could dig into our freshly baked cakes, we're rudely interrupted by Panseer, who warns us of the unintended consequences of high blood sugar levels, and that everyone who has eaten the cakes has developed an unbridled desire for gluttony. That is honestly perfect material for advertising. Tastes so good, you won't think twice before committing a sin. Overhearing the conversation, Cough Egregious approaches us and proceeds to force-feed Panseer. Personally, I'm more interested in the Yamasks holding cakes above their heads. Do they think about what's going on? Do they know? Do they care? No, they're just tiny little guys who are proud to show off cakes. And I respect that. Anyway, Cough Egregious gets kicked in the back of the head by Oshawott to then express his anger with one of the most hilarious voice lines.
Guys! Guys!
Oshawott goes on to tell everyone that his search for the missing Pokemon has brought him here. And that went over about as well as a detective declaring to drug dealers that they're searching for illegal drugs. But I wasn't the one to kick the coffin in the back of the head, so who am I? Pikachu is tasked with defeating the Yamask underlings, while Oshawott deals with the greater threat that is Cough Egregious. Piplup instructed Pikachu like a trainer to use Iron Tail, giving him a non-zero chance of getting hit by one himself. He also presumably sat back and did nothing as this all unfolded. Typical.
Guys! Guys!
That'll never get old. Cue a chase scene that leads us back to the portal where we escape, but not before Piplup gets captured and left behind. With a fatal blow of losing a close friend, Pikachu instantly falls into a deep depression, to just come out of it when Oshawott leaves, smirk and all. He must be still holding a grudge from the attempted robbery earlier. In spite of this, Oshawott's suggestion of meeting up with the area keeper Samurott was our next move. On the way there, I took the time to make a few friends. When we arrive at the Council of Samurott, Oshawott relays the tale of our harrowing adventure in Wish Park, and instead of doing anything about it himself, he tells us that Piplup's potential death was okay as long as it was necessary. Then he commands Pikachu to fight Oshawott to prove his worth, and finally suggests that we go search for Krokorok and Sandile. Wow. With Oshawott joining the team as a playable character, we can now swim around in water, allowing us to interrogate new, unsuspecting victims. Through this, we find out that Krokorok and Sandile are nearby in a place called Cove Town. Unfortunately, Timber tells us the tunnel there is on the verge of collapsing. But he can fix it, he just needs his hammer. Except that is locked up inside the lighthouse. What do you mean locked up? What's it doing in there? In the lighthouse is a 2D section, where we have to platform our way up to a treasure chest that houses the misplaced hammer. There are character-specific interactions here that take way less time to get past than changing characters. And for some reason, the developers decided that the controls should be nearly identical to the rest of the game. They could have at least upped the turning speed a little. It's disappointing because it makes what could have been a nice change of pace into what feels like an afterthought. Whatever, we get the tool and get out. As soon as we returned the hammer to Timber, he ran off to immediately fix the tunnel so that we could finally continue the trek up to Cove Town. Upon our arrival, we quickly were able to confront the now known Pokemon traffickers and question them on how to reopen the poster portal. When they refused to answer, we were forced to use advanced interrogation tactics. After that, they happily told us that all you need to do is stand in front of the portal and wish for it to open. Hold on. Oh, and the power of friendship. Now it's believable. I take the time to gather a few more friends, get some upgrades, and attempt what I remember as one of the hardest trials. Corefish. To me, it was near impossible without Snivy, as the other characters weren't quite fast enough. Though now I'm sure that was instead due to my lack of skill at the time, because this was disappointingly easy. Nothing at all like what I had remembered it as. Before heading back to Seasong Beach, I have one more thing to talk about. That is that I'm always surprised to hear that people didn't know that Minchino and Trubbish are connected. Minchino loves cleaning. Look no further than all of its Dex entries, and Trubbish is a bag of trash. Also, more definitive proof is the fact that any route one was on, the other was always there. Up until Gen 8. How I knew this, however, was from this very idea of why they are always together playing out in this game. Except Minchino just wants to return an item to Trubbish, not clean them up. Back on Seasong Beach. Hold on. Back on Seasong Beach, we beeline to the poster portal, gather all our friends, and vigorously shake the Wii remote. That's not a punchline, I stood up to do this. Beyond the portal, we found the park boss, Coffegregious, waiting. Knowing that we are trying to free the Pokemon from Wish Park, he kindly tells us that the only way to free them from their cake-induced trance is to ring the wish bell. However, in an effort to thwart our plans, he preys on our known weakness and tempts us with the opportunity to play an even better cake-making minigame. I mean, I'm not without vices. Okay, I got it all out of my system. Let's go beat up the coffin. And we won. Second phase? It's still funny. Before leaving, Oshawott couldn't help but notice a significant lack of Piplup in the crowd of freed Pokemon. So he asks Coffegregious about Piplup, kicking off an entire monologue about how there is a portal in each of the 4 areas of PokePark that each lead to a different park in Wish Park, and that if we were to ring the Wish Bell in each of these parks, it would reunite the 4 lands and give us access to Wish Palace, along with freeing the trapped Pokemon in the respective parks. And maybe then we'll get lucky and find Piplup. Maybe. The best part is that if Coffegregious didn't explain any of this, there would be literally no way we would know that, as no other Pokemon, besides the ones ruling over Wish Park, seem to know how it all works. So I can only assume the story writers came to this realization too, and not wanting to drag out the game for you to gain the information naturally, they instead chose to toss this in to keep the plot moving. I don't think it was a bad decision given the context, especially because I also just used it as an opportunity to explain everything at once, to keep the plot moving. Back on Seasong Beach, we are approached by a thankful Drifblim, who strikes up a seemingly innocent conversation about how they and their friends can quickly transport us around PokePark. However, after doing a quick background check, yeah, I think I'll pass. Samurott, hearing our report and seeing the missing Pokemon return safely, thanked us for doing his job. But also, since the perpetrators are still on the loose, we must continue our efforts and travel to the Arbor area. I could understand not wanting to travel too far away and leave the residents unguarded, but he's the same guy who lost half of them, so he does a terrible job of that anyway. Peace, and a windmill with a solid frame rate. What else could you want in life? I told you there was more. They made one for each playable character. I didn't even know that until I was looking for the commercial I showed you earlier. I watched them all, and there is just something about them that is deeply unsettling to me, and I don't know why. Anyway, we meet Snivy, someone that Oshawott does not know. She questions our intentions, tells us how parties are boring, and that Pokemon trafficking is exciting. She runs off. Over at the windmill, we find a ripped poster portal. Zorua, who was waiting there, tells us his friend went in there and hasn't come back. Snivy then reluctantly tells us to ask Whimsicott about the missing poster piece. Doing so, we learn that it was sent to Queen Superior as an invitation to the berry party. I thought that berries were solely used as currency, and only Munchlax ate them. I apparently was wrong, unless this is a very different kind of party. On our way to Queen Superior, Oshawott finds out what androgyny means, and that an 87.5% chance is still an 87.5% chance. Upon meeting Queen Superior, we learn the shocking news that Samurott once moved from under his arch and traveled here to have a conversation. With what we know about him, that's still impressive. Then she roasts Oshawott for being scared of the dark, during which he states this is a reason for not wanting to come here. With the knowledge that Oshawott has met the Queen before, I'm confused how he had never met Snivy with her being Superior's daughter, and also why didn't he assume she was related knowing the Queen was a Superior? I get that not every Pokemon of a particular evolutionary line is related, but come on, it's not that big of a stretch. Superior says she gave the invitation to Deerling to deliver. So we go find Deerling and ask her for the invitation. She tells us that because the invitation was very important, she stashed it in a stump. A stump. First a hammer, now this. Could they seriously not come up with a logical reason for any of these items to be where they are? These 2D sections' entire existence revolve around the strangest, niche, most bizarre circumstances imaginable. It would have been 10 times easier for everyone involved to scrap the idea, but instead they said no and decided to put in an insane level of story writing gymnastics for the smallest amount of justification. And in the case of the hammer, none at all. Snivy joins us. Expect to see her the majority of the time, as not only is she probably the best character gameplay-wise, having a higher jump, faster dash, and being able to move during the shake attack, she is also my favorite first form Gen 5 starter, by a slim margin over Oshawott. After completing the 2D section and getting the torn piece of the poster, we head back to the windmill where we can finally repair the What? Those are not our friends. Those guys tried to kill me earlier. I have you. Don't worry. I won't let them take you. Out here, Anya. In the water you go. Be free. An incredibly pointless battle ensued, one of those kinds that could have been easily avoided with a few sentences. Zorua returns and tells us how his friend Zoroark brought the Pokemon of the Arbor area to Wish Park, and was trapped there herself. But she didn't know the dark void sky place was evil. She was deceived into deceiving. I've heard this before. Yeah. What the heck is Lilligant doing? You just happen to be right front and center. Zoroark, I'm so glad you're safe. Sure, none shall pass. What's wrong? You seem strange. Zoroark doesn't recognize you. It's you. Yep, see, says name. Don't even have to say it. Yeesh, I can't believe you made it here. Zoroark, chase them off. Zoroark, it's me. Hey, don't you recognize me? Take that as a no. Bish bash bosh, the fox was tossed. Chandelure tells us the same thing Coffagri just did. To sum it up quickly, the Pokemon here are entranced by the attraction. The sole way to free the trapped Pokemon is by ringing the Dance Zone's wish bell. However, Chandelure won't let us do that until we complete his attraction, Dance Inferno. Obviously, Chandelier breaks the promise of only having to beat the attraction. Just like Cough Egregious, he has a two-phase fight. First we destroy his entire setup, then we stomp him out. I wish I had more to say, but really it wasn't eventful in the slightest. Though I truly wonder if this role was a small part of why Chandelier got into Pokken Tournament later down the line. Afterwards, we finally get to see the whole Goth trio at once. It is also the first of many Gothitelle appearances. In this particular materialization, she continues the tradition of monologuing about the Master's plan and threatening to kill us. Except to spice it up, she actually was. Until Zoroark cuts in and says, pick on someone who has the type advantage. Oh, and Piplup challenges her too. Apparently, he escaped the hands and flew across the void to get here. I don't know how. Otherwise, not wanting to get her hands dirty, Gothitelle leaves. Huh. Well, time to go ring the wish bell. Reunited with Piplup, Pikachu can at last return to PokePark with a large weight lifted off his conscience. Plot twist, Piplup is staying behind to carve his own path. He says it's because of his desire to liberate Pokemon from Wish Park. How does Pikachu feel about this? Well, so far I've seen him express a total of 2 emotions, naive happiness and depression. But Piplup doesn't care about how Pikachu feels. He makes his own choices. Seriously, who let the penguin have an edgy phase? This is what happens when you hang out with a bunch of goths for too long. Pikachu? Soon we will face the end of both PokePark and Wish Park. The Dark Vortex has emerged. What is it? The ultimate... whatever. Blah blah blah, things are about to all get sucked into a void, you know, typical stuff. What's this? What's wrong, Pikachu? That's a glum look. Pikachu's friend stayed behind in Wish Park by himself. Is that so? Yet... you could have stopped him. You're electric type. You could have just, like, shocked the guy to the ground. I mean, it wouldn't be any stranger than anything else that's happened to befriend people, or Pokemon. Same thing. May I interrupt? They are going to try to befriend the Crag area's Pokemon. Thanks for telling us the next area. Okay. Why did you just do that? Come back here. Where are you? Get out of here. First things first, we gotta carry Bonsly to the gate. It's pretty slow going, but I'm sure this type of task won't happen too frequently. We can immediately divert our attention to Victini. He tells us his friend, who usually is training in Rockridge Fort, has gone missing. Assuming the disappearance is linked to Wish Park, Oshawott immediately vows to find them and return them to safety. Jumping the gun a little, but you can't deny his determined spirit. In the fort, I engage in the act of making friends yet again, only to be thwarted by... him. Another carrying mission? What's the big deal? I had to walk so far just to learn that you need Tepig to break the rocks in order to reach the location Ferroseed wants to go. Let's get Tepig. We find our missing pig in a cannon thanks to an anonymous tip from Darumaka. While Oshawott and Snivy were trying to figure out how to free him, Pikachu took the time to break the fourth wall by staring dead into my soul. Eventually, Snivy just said screw it, let's shoot him out of the cannon. Worst case scenario, we're having pork for dinner. Firing the cannon did work though. The now free Tepig aggressively approaches the group, yelling about how reckless that was and that he potentially could have been killed. Well, then don't climb into cannons. He is right though, we are friends with Drudagon, who is definitely tall enough to reach into that cannon. Anyway, a battle ensues, Snivy asserts dominance, and Tepig joins the team. Yep, besides wanting to take part in the battle tournament that is being held here, Tepig has no other distinct characterizations. We do however know that Victini went to the Colosseum looking for Tepig, so we should make good on our promise and deliver the news of having located his friend. But first, I have unfinished business. Now that that's been dealt with, we talk to the area keeper Embor, because the door to the Colosseum is locked. He gives this big spiel about how only those that can break a rock that materializes out of absolute nowhere and have a bravery beard can enter the Colosseum and partake in the battle tournament. Well, the rock is pretty easy, it has Tepig's face on it after all. Getting the bravery beard, on the other hand, requires completing yet another 2D section. It was nothing special, as always. Every one of these feels the exact same. At least the bravery beard contextually makes sense to be in here, unlike the other items. Having checked off the 2 requirements, we can now open the gate to the Colosseum. On the other side, we immediately run into Victini, who unfortunately does not take Tepig back. Continuing on to the actual Colosseum, we are stopped by Rhyperior, in an attempt to rob us of our glorious bravery beard. We kill him, and move on. Entering the Colosseum, we're near instantly thrust into a battle with Hydreigon. Luckily, I was able to spot Hydreigon's attack pattern and quickly adapt. See, after a Pokemon attacks, they have a cooldown until they can act again. This is a form of balancing to give the player time to deal damage without being pressured by their opponent. The enemy Pokemon also select their moves depending on how close or far away you are when their cooldown ends. So because all the playable characters' best and highest damage per second moves are close-up attacks, the AI will pick the move of theirs that corresponds to you being near them. For Hydreigon, this is Draco Meteor, the blue falling rocks. Draco Meteor is a close-up attack, and rarely strikes the same place twice. So what I did was trigger Draco Meteor, wait for a rock to hit the ground, and then stand where it struck, and wail on Hydreigon. I rinsed and repeated until he was beaten. When the battle was over, Scraggy ran into the arena, saying that he had seen Hydreigon leading Pokemon into a suspicious portal. Instead of defending himself from this lone witness accusation, Hydreigon openly admits to doing it, and why. Not even for sympathy or redemption like Krokorok or Zoroark. To top it all off, Embor puts the battle tournament on hold, so we can see if what Scraggy said is true. Dude, he told you to your face he did it, and why he did it at that. What more proof could you want? Hydreigon also shouts from the other side of the portal, good to know you can do that, about what we need to think of to open the portal. What a bold choice that is. Well, with that information and the requirement of getting Victini back, we gather our friends once more. That liar, absolute liar, he could roll this entire time. I'm never helping the legless ever again. Beyond the portal, we catch up to Haxorus and Hydreigon, who are talking with Gothitelle about getting the reward for capturing Victini, the power of performance-enhancing mental support. However, Gothitelle moves the goalpost and insists that they have to take us out first. Snivy questions their desire for power. Tepig retorts by calling Haxorus and Hydreigon lazy, which is a weird thing to say about 2 Pokemon that have very high final evolution levels. Oshawott blindly believes Tepig. Pikachu smiles. It may look long and seem difficult, except don't forget, we have Snivy. Being unable to defeat us, both Hydreigon and Haxorus beg Gothitelle for the power they were promised. She instead hits them with the classic, "It was inside you all along" line. Having broken her promise of sharing the performance-enhancing mental support that is Victini, they start to corner her, only to be hit by a Shadow Ball, by none other than Darkrai himself. And along with him, you can see that Tepig's character budget entirely went towards these cutscenes. He offers to let us join him in his plot to gather all of PokePark's Pokemon. I mean, gotta catch them all, right? Pikachu's companions, in an attempt to talk him out of it, try reminding him of the awful available real estate, rampant goths, and low vitamin D. Oh, not the low vitamin D! Pikachu can't live here, he's already got depression, he can't take much more. This is getting too deep. I need a distraction. Maybe even an attraction. When you need to avoid the hard realities of life, what is better than a round of Power Bash, where your main objective is to have fun whipping innocent Pokemon into the void? Having beat the attraction, to Gothatel's surprise, she does not in fact battle us. Rather, she practically encourages us to ring the wish bell, citing that she always keeps her promises as the reason. I don't know where she's getting that information from, because Wikipedia is never even that wrong. Having been victorious against Haxorus, the attraction, and ring the wish bell, we finally check off the last box on our Power Zone escapade by reuniting with Victini. Unfortunately, our group success is undermined when Gothitelle reveals that she has captured Piplup. It's safe to say Pikachu was crushed by this awful news. I just want to know how he traveled between parks while never leaving. Maybe Darkrai helped him, but I don't see what he would have to gain by enabling that. Exiting Wish Park, we are immediately met by Emboar, who didn't help us in the slightest, but don't let this detract from the fact that Samurott never visited us at the portal. Both Emboar and Serperior have. We are told that a message from Queen Serperior arrived stating that the Dark Vortex has appeared in the sky. That means exactly what you think it means. Well, onto the tech area. Supposedly, the poster portals are made in a place called the Scientorium, which is located in this area. Here we find ourselves at the entrance to the train depot, guarded by Girder. He tells us how the tech area doesn't allow outsiders. Ah yes, the classic no outsiders allowed, while the entire industry behind me is made up of the farthest reaching means of public transportation, which, as it would imply, brings numerous quote-unquote outsiders in and out of this area. Otherwise, we beat Girder up, and he pointed us towards the area keeper, Conkeldurr. After hearing about how there is a giant vortex in the sky threatening the entire world, asks, "How is that my problem?" Refusing to accept basic logic, he promptly escalates the situation further by assaulting us. I really don't know what he sought to gain from that interaction. Apparently our battle reminded him of fighting Emboar and Samurott, which was enough for him to listen to us explain why we need to find the Scientorium. He was about to tell us where to go until Girder came rushing in, yelling that the iron bridge is broken. Now the passenger train coming back from the mountain can't get to the train depot. Offering our help, Conkeldurr directs us to find timber and tell him to collect cement and actual timber for the bridge's repair. This task takes us to Seasong Beach, where we find timber and deliver Conkeldurr's message. However, he cannot gather these materials alone. For this, we'll need the help of the other area keepers. So we bring our resource debacle to Samurott, who contacts Emboar for cement and Serperior for timber. Somehow, the 5 of us can carry all these materials. They could have just been delivered straight to the train depot. It is closer to the Arbor and Crag area than Seasong Beach is, but that's what we get for asking Samurott to help. With the materials in hand, Conkeldurr and Girder fix the bridge, allowing the train to finally return to the station, freeing its passengers. Having dealt with that emergency, Conkeldurr informs us of the Scientorium's location deep in the warehouse, but to beware, as outside it is guarded by Golurk. This is actually one of the few times that you get to see Golurk in its canon form, and the very first time it appeared in a game. He kindly opens the door to the warehouse for us once he understands our intentions. What a nice guy. We quickly make it up to the second floor where the door to the Scientorium is, except this is a bad time to visit. A family of gears are rebelling against their forced eternal servitude as a door opening mechanism. Good for them. Unfortunate for us. We go around and round them up, guilt-tripping and promising them that this is the last time they will be forced to open the door, or so I've been told. Back together, they get the elevator door working, never to be closed again. This place is a glorified hallway with the amount of doors I've had to exit and enter. I did it! I found the most unnecessary cutscene in existence. I dare someone to find a reason for its inclusion. I won't take learning Reuniclus's name for an answer. Speaking of Reuniclus, he admits to being the creator of the poster portals. From him, we learn that the wish bells are connected to time, and they need to ring regularly to keep things in order, or else you get stuff like the Dark Vortex appearing. Armed with the knowledge of how to stop the world from being swallowed up, we immediately prepare to return to Wish Park. In spite of those plans, Reuniclus says his portal is broken, and that he needs a Cytron Collider to fix it. Is it just me, or is this area in severe disrepair for absolutely no reason? Fine, where do I find this collider? Don't ever say I never did anything for you. We're at the final zone, nearly the end of the game, and Coffegregious' monologue is still being brought up. What would we have done without him? I was going to talk about how great the Flight Zone's music track is, but I got interrupted by... well, let me show you instead. What are you... I thought that was a bug. I don't remember this. So that's why they call it the Flight Zone. Who knew? Anyway, Sigilif, take a wild guess how this goes. Also, why does the music sound exercise show-esque? 3, 2, 1. Good job. Now we're going to switch from squats and move over to planks. Now what I want you to focus on is bracing your core and breathing. Don't stop breathing. I'm still waiting for my TV to tell me to stop holding that plank. I have to give credit where credit is due. Sigilif has by far the best first phase. It was a low bar, but someone had to get over it. Although it does boil down to just being a more thought out take on Haxorus' first phase gauntlet. Unlike Haxorus, Sigilif's second phase undermines the first, because he is weak to the electric type Pikachu, making the fight trivial. I really think that the Wish Park bosses should have had no weaknesses. I get that it is linked to type effectiveness, but Coffegregious and Haxorus don't have any, and their fights were better for it. Chandelure and Sigilif, on the other hand, got the short end of the stick. Gothitelle said that Wish Park naturally powered up Haxorus and Hydreigon. Why couldn't that power be said to get rid of a Pokemon's type weaknesses? And since Darkrai controls Wish Park, you could say he directs that power to who he wants. Having rung the fourth and final Wish Bell, all of Wish Park has rejoined, and the path to Wish Palace has opened. And we shall enter. Not before being discouraged by Gothitelle one final time. She warns that only sadness awaits where we seek to go. Joke's on her, Pikachu has had depression this whole game. Only a lack of mental support and low vitamin D can stop him now. We're all together. It's time for the showdown with Wish Park's boss. Let's save Piplup and solve this case. I'm a bit worried about what Gothitelle and the others said, but for now, let's move on. You really should have said something cool, Snivy, or you really ruined that for me. Oh no. It's him. The king. Hey, haven't you ever wanted to be with your best friend and play forever without anyone bothering you? I finally realized. In Wish Park, that can't happen. Pikachu, let's play in Wish Park. But the lack of real estate, Piplup. Think of the lack of real estate. Just you, me forever and ever. No. Pikachu has been my friend for a really, really long time. All I want to do is play here with Pikachu forever. Why don't you understand? And so, the battle begins, with truth, ideals, rodent, bird, everlasting friendship, all on the line. Now you can run, when it's not for your life? Oh, Gothitelle has feet, I didn't know that. Darkrai, after much deliberation, has come to the astounding realization that the power of friendship is what makes us powerful. So he uses his power of electric dementia on Oshawott, Snivy, and Tepig, devastatingly causing them to forget our whole journey together. For this next bit, I'll let Darkrai explain.
Darkrai. Dark.
He's staring into my soul again. Everyone's gone. Pikachu, he's alone. Searching, but never finding. Depression. Those low-down scoundrels. They can trap innocent Pokemon, or erase Pikachu's friends' memories, but taking all the vitamin D, that is too far. Though now, Pikachu, lost without anyone, is powerless to take it back. Oh my god. It's a miracle! The mental support penguin has returned! Piplup was brought here by the two legendary Pokemon, and he sincerely apologizes to Pikachu, having seen the error in his ways. After which he renews the hope that was lost and encourages Pikachu to immediately set out to reclaim his friends, and remind them of the shared existential terror that is the dark vortex swallowing up both worlds. First, Oshawott, then Snivy, and finally, Tepig. Reunited, we fire up a portal and jump in. We return to Wish Palace, this time to find Darkrai on the throne. Astonished that our friendship transcends dementia, he has no other choice but to battle us. How did this guy become ruler of anything, much less of an entire world? That was easier than Chandelure. Oh yeah, I've seen Bowser do this a time or two. Let's see how it plays out. Ooh, you hate to see it. Oh, and he's sinking. We're in trouble. Master, Wish Park is in trouble. What's wrong? What is happening? We should go outside too. We just let him walk out? The war criminal was just let go? This is why we can't get anything done. That does look rather bleak. Anyway, over to Reuniclus with the status update. Hello there, everyone. I visit for the first time in a while and find things looking rather hopeless. Never fear, I brought a fabulous item. My ultimate invention, the Light Polariton. It may be able to neutralize the Dark Vortex's gravity. Amazing, how do we use it? First, ring all 4 wish bells at the same time. When the Light Polariton resonates with the bells, someone must carry it into the center of the vortex. Seriously, I was willing to take the bells not being synchronized, but the vortex not perfectly matching upsets me deeply. Don't ask me how they escaped. I'm as baffled as you are. Well, we're not done yet. There's a little more left to the story, and see the silhouettes in the pictures? Those are Pokemon I haven't befriended. and I would particularly like to have them all filled in. So, now that our group has saved the world, they can finally rest and relax and explore both PokePark and Wish Park at their leisure. Seeing how Wish Park was partly destroyed, we decided to head there first, finding a broken but healing world on the other side. Talking to each of the attraction leaders allows us to partake in a rematch of their battle. They're the exact same ones we've done before, though slightly harder, not by much. Winning a rematch gets the leader and their underlings to befriend us. By the way, Haxorus got a promotion! He now attends the Power Zones attraction. I knew his talents would get recognized eventually. At the gate to Wish Park, we encounter Gothita and Gotharita. They tell us how everyone is trying to restore the park and bring Pokemon back. This time, not trapping them. Gotharita tells us how Gothita is the saddest he's ever seen her, and that she won't leave Wish Palace as she's waiting for Darkrai to return. Fine, we'll see what we can do to get him back. Figuring that the area keepers might know how, we first visit Superior. She tells us the berry party went well, that's great, glad to hear, and that there is a dais in the Arcane area used to travel to where Reshiram resides. Now where is the Arcane area, you wonder? Across this out-of-order bridge. Timber is currently working on repairing it, so we'll have to come back later. In the meantime, we go ask Emboar for advice on saving Darkrai. He has no clue, but he gives us his family's pet rock and tells us nobody has ever been able to break it open. Supposedly, there is an item inside that if brought to the dais in Wish Park opens a path to where Zekrom lives. We bring the pet rock to Reuniclus, who promptly tells us he can make a machine to break it, but it will need the power of wind, thunder, and land. Oddly specific, but I see where this is going. To speed this up a little, Samurott tells us a spell to cast at a shrine to summon Tornadus. Tornadus tells us how to summon Thundurus, who tells us how to summon Landorus, and together they euthanize the pet rock. In other news, the bridge to the Arcane area has been repaired, and we can now visit Reshiram. So, this is what prime real estate looks like. It's got a lot more stock fire gifs than I imagined. Reshiram already knows why we have come. Despite seeing Darkrai's exile as deserved, Reshiram asks us to prove our determination in a battle. Although we proved our determination to Reshiram, we're told we need Zekrom's approval too. Which has the same energy as, I'd let you, but you better go ask your mom first. Over in Zekrom land, we're given the same proposition as before. Having proved our determination a second time, the two legendaries fulfill their promise of bringing Darkrai back. That is abrupt. Very abrupt. Upon his return, he does the apology we've heard umpteen times already. Do we get an explanation on why he did any of this? No, not really. Besides loneliness and boredom, it's pretty vague. What isn't vague is the completion of the friends list. I've chased, battled, done quizzes, played hide and seek, gifted items, took pictures, ran races, fought through gauntlets, carried, helped go to sleep, fed berries, opened every treasure chest, guilt-tripped, and saved the world to get them all. And beyond that, you may be wondering, did it live up to how I remembered it being? No, if anything, it left me with more questions than answers, and imagining that outcome would have been insane given the context. Who rang the bells of Wish Park before Darkrai arrived? Did Darkrai make all the zones? If not, did he make the attractions? If he did, why do the Wish Bells release Pokemon from their trance? Logically, that would mean whoever made the Wish Bells made the attractions. So who did? And why did they create a perfect place to trap Pokemon? Was it Zekrom? What reason would Zekrom have for making Candyland, Footloose, Karate Kid, and I have no clue what this is, amusement parks? What was the end goal? What was Darkrai's plan too? He knew the Dark Vortex would appear, and if it hadn't, what was he going to do with the trapped Pokemon? Why did he need to trap them? What was stopping Zekrom from slapping Darkrai and ringing the Wish Bells? There is so little information, and the information that does exist contradicts itself 3 times over. I thought I knew exactly how the plot unfolded, what the gameplay was like, and the characters' personalities. But I've been thoroughly proven wrong. And confused. Really, it's kind of upsetting to see what I had not before. However, it made me realize that what I really cared for, what I remembered, was the world's design and the creative ideas that filled it. Sure, in the narrative, it makes sense barely half the time, but the potential that, say, Wish Park held, to me, is incredible. The ambiance of it alone is great, it just fails to capitalize on it. Same with battles and attractions. I can see how this whole game could easily be viewed as wasted potential, and in a way, it is. But I'd rather see that potential as room to expand, to further those concepts and ideas. Or maybe it's the rose-tinted glasses, causing me to see more than there actually is. Who knows? At least the music was good.